Hi, my name is Jill Wilson from the Equality Practice. Today I have the pleasure of introducing a lady I've only just met recently. She is perhaps my youngest guest to date, and indeed this perhaps indicates an air of self-confidence and courage, descriptions often associated with women these days. She has a passion for equality and inclusion, as she has, although she's only 21 years old, been fighting for it most of her adult life. Lexi Offord, welcome to Including Me.
Hi, thank you.
Hello. Lexi, tell me a little bit about yourself and what's motivated you to be here talking about inclusion with me today.
As you mentioned earlier, I'm 21. I live in sort of the South Yorkshire area of the UK. What's motivated me to be on this podcast is obviously I'm a young person within the transgender community. I feel as though there's still a lot for the public to know about transgender people. I feel as though it's still sort of a topic that's not really discussed too much. So this is a chance for me and any other transgender guests that you may have on to sort of explain a bit about our lives and what it actually is to be transgender and what it means to us specifically.
Can I ask you a question then, Lexi? Has being a transgender female made you feel different from the rest of society?
So it's made me, in parts, yes. It's made me feel different in the sense that obviously being transgender, I was born an assigned male at birth. So it's been sort of a bit of a change for me. Not, I guess, in certain circumstances that where like cisgender females would be comfortable, I'm not that comfortable just yet. It's also made me think more about when I'm out and about on the streets, I'm having a walk or whatever. It's made me very conscious about myself and if I actually pass as female, which can be quite difficult at times. But yeah, so in that sense it has made me feel a bit different within sort of community. However, ever since I did my change of name deed, it's made me feel really good about myself, and it's made me feel like I do fit in with other cisgender and transgender females.
Do you think when you meet people who don't know you, don't know your past, don't know the journey that you're on now, what I'm trying to say is, do people treat you differently as a female to when you was a male? Is it a different sort of conversation, a different... I just think women are so different to men, and wonder if you've noticed that when you've changed over.
So a lot of the time when I'm out and about, I do still get misgendered a lot. People do still, people that don't know me do think that I am male. So I've not really had that sort of conversation of like a stranger thinking that I am female yet.
Really? You see, I don't know because we're on screen and we've never met face to face, but I would say you're pretty female to me.
Yeah, and the hormones definitely helping now, but yeah, it's I just can't picture a time where I've been gendered correctly in the first place yet. So I've got that to look forward to though. So
yeah, that's the thing. You've only got one way to go, and that's up.
Yes, definitely.
What is the one thing then that somebody on the street, somebody who doesn't know, who can't place you, and that's, you know, it's a thing that all humans do. We put everybody in a box. It helps us make sense of the world. So it's not always purposeful to be mean or you know, make these mistakes. But if somebody's unsure whether you're fitting into one box or the other, for example, how could they treat you just to be respectful? What would being respectful be looking like to you?
I'd say the number one thing, if you don't know, sort of, as you mentioned, we put people into different boxes so we can make sense of things. If you have to sort of put someone in either a male or female box, sort of the binary agenda is what most people expect, but you can't quite tell. So the number one thing for me would be, instead of using pronouns that are sort of gendered, so him, he, or she, her, if you're not sure, just use they, them. For a transgender person, being gendered incorrectly can be quite distressing, as they have lived with that for however many years they've lived with that. So even if it's not the pronouns of their acquired gender and just general sort of non-binary pronouns, that'd be much better to me personally.
Yeah.
And I imagine quite a few other transgender people.
So it's a changing world, and people of my age, we don't normally say they, them as, we don't. So we're learning all the time. I think we're trying to learn.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot faster than we did, I think.
Yeah, I mean, going back to sort of the 90s and earlier with being homosexual, for example, that's now accepted and it's widely known about. So hopefully in a few years' time, being transgender will be widely known about and accepted fully.
I think so. I think younger people, do you think younger people like your own age group are much more accepting than perhaps my age group that's not that much older than you, to be fair?
I think it's something that we should expect, as a lot of people in my age group will have at least heard of someone being transgender, if not know someone that is. So I would have hoped that it would be easier for sort of my age group to sort of accept and understand that. However, when I initially came out to my family, it was sort of the older people in my family that they knew it more than the younger people, and they'd known someone who was transgender. So that's kind of a bit of a throws a spanner in the works for that sort of question, really. But yeah, I think the more that we talk about these sorts of things, the more that everyone will sort of know about it and understand at least how to treat someone who is transgender.
So to help somebody like me understand what you're going through, what are the daily challenges that you face? You know, what sort of things come at you daily that you have to bat off or just cope with?
So as I mentioned earlier, being gendered correctly without actually having to talk to someone, that is a daily challenge for me. Remembering to take all my hormones on time, that's also a challenge for me. Just the fact that I will be on hormones for the rest of my life as well, that's something that's sort of always there. I guess just trying to make myself feel comfortable in the body that I'm in. Obviously, being assigned male at birth and born with male characteristics, my body is quite tall. I'm 6 foot. It's sort of built quite broad shoulders, again all masculine traits, so it's just trying to feel comfortable with what I've got to work with.
Sorry, I went on mute there to try and mitigate some background sounds. And what about your daily challenge with things? So if you are a big statured female, how does that work when it comes to buying clothes? Have you found that difficult? Or nobody's buying clothes this year though, are they?
No, they're not. And yes, clothing is an absolute nightmare. Stuff that fits my waist size is generally too short in leg, because I think about 5 foot of my height is leg, so it's very difficult to buy clothes that fit well and are comfortable and look nice.
So it's not an easy world that you're living in, but I suppose it's like anything. The more you do it, the more you practice it, you've got a whole world of socialization that you've got to relearn or how do you go about that? So you were brought up to be a little boy, to be masculine, so
yeah,
pick all those messages up, those subliminal messages up. How do you go about speaking to your brain to make it more in line with the female socialization?
So because I've had sort of these feelings of not being male for a while, I think my brain from day one, when I first started questioning my gender, I think my brain already thought, well, I'm female, so I'm wrong, like me as myself. So my brain already knew that and was already sort of trying to rewire itself, I guess. So yeah, I found that quite easy to pick up on more sort of feminine traits when, for example, walking and trying to talk a little bit softer and stuff like that. So yeah, found that quite easy.
I was going to say, you do sound like a soft female. I mean, you are there. I'm quite surprised that you're not getting the recognition that you should be getting in that sense.
Yeah, I feel as though because my voice is deep, the only thing I can do at the moment is, yeah, I guess.
Some women would love that voice.
I feel yes, I bet. I feel as though the only thing I can do is just try and talk a little bit softer. So I don't know. Maybe I've just not seen the right people on the street to gender me correctly at first time. But
It'll happen. You know, the more more clothes, and they'll be starting to make different clothes for different size females soon. It's just a changing world, and I think you've just got a few years maybe to wait, and things might get a bit easier in that department.
Yeah, definitely. I'm hoping so.
Okay, Lexi. On that note, because every woman hates shopping. Well, they love shopping, but they hate everything that they wear. So you've got all that to look forward to as well. But this year has been a year where we can not shop, so we can look into other things. But that aside, thank you so much for agreeing to be here with me today on Including Me. It means so much. Just the opportunity to talk to somebody that is going through what is essentially a very different journey to most of us. And I hope you'll come back in the future and let us know how you're getting on and where you're at in maybe a year or so.
Yeah, definitely will. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much, Lexi. Thank you.